Gentlemen, thank you very much for your presentations. We have a limited time for discussion, so I'm going to dive right into two questions. The first one is on the organizational model or the industry structure we're looking at in terms of best practices. There is no one-size-fits-all for ASEAN because there are many ways the industry is dispersed or put together. The question I have is, what is a best practice, do you think, in terms of organizing the industry? Because there's the corporatized model, there's the cooperative model, or is there something in between that can help consolidate and get the economies of scale so we can improve productivity for the sector, especially in developing ASEAN? And anyone can answer, please.
The FELDA and FELCRA model of Malaysia.
Eloquent in its brevity. So you're looking at the corporatized. Mr. Mohammed.
Yeah. For FECRA model, I think we adopt a few models. But the most important model is for the smallholders, whereby the funding must come from the government in terms of soft loan or in terms of very minimal interest rate. But at the same time also the government in Malaysia, they provide some grant for the infrastructure. So this kind of model to develop the poor people, hardcore poor, and also poor people in Malaysia. Then you can eradicate the poverty in Malaysia. Then after that, the second model is a pure business model, whereby we want to develop a big size of land, but also we can provide this job or provide this employment to the people at the rural area, plus we can provide as well the settlement in that particular area. For example, in Seberang Perak, we developed for 21,000 hectares, starting in early 80s with a fund from the World Bank. Then currently this area become one of the most successful area. There are 3 main plantations over there: palm oil plantation, paddy plantation, and now we're going to open up for the agro-tourism. And then the rural area over there, from 5,000 now become 21,000 with the children, employment creation, poverty eradication, and average income for the people in the Seberang Perak is around 3,000 to 5,000 a month now. That is the model.
All right. Thank you very much for that model. The corporatized model has the economies of scale, but also the metrics, as Dr. D had mentioned earlier. Mr. Song, would you like to weigh in on that?
Thank you. I just add a little bit because in Cambodian context, I believe on PPP, 4P, public-private producer partnerships. Because with the 4P, AMRU started last year, we found a farmer earn about 20% net profit from what they are doing without private sectors. So in this regard, we identify in my presentation on location based, because everywhere in Cambodia cannot grow the same. So we had identified location, and then we identified the market net of their products. And then we partnership with a foreign company. We do with Malaysia, we do with Thai company who are expert and expertise on their economies or modernize things to increase the yield of the rice. So I believe smallholder farmers should be formed in cooperative, and with their voice, they can work with private sectors. And the private sector, they need to be clearly become entrepreneurs. They cannot go become like, non-profit. So every farmer, every cooperative, they believe they are NGOs. And I try to transform, you are not NGOs, you entrepreneur. You to be ensure your product is profitable. So they can be partner with private sectors to be a partnership. No donor, no funding, no, everything is, win-win, profitable, both sides. So I believe on 4 Ps. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Song. And the PPP model does work in the agriculture sector. Mr. Sandoval, you're from the cooperative movement. Tell us about the nuances and the advantages of the corporate model, because you're treating it as a business as well. You're very clear in your presentation. What is the advantage of your corporate model in terms of consolidating growth in the sector?
Yeah. It's always very sad to hear stories of failure. We are happy to hear stories of success. If only my wife will allow me to immerse in a poor farming family, so that I will drink coffee with them, I will eat with them, and I will immerse with them. I'm asking her to allow me to do that. Maybe at this session she will say yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sandoval. One follow-up question that comes from that is the idea that once you start organizing a sector, the idea is in corporations themselves, there's the governance aspect. How do you make sure that once you organize a sector, you consolidate the resources, and at the same time you organize the leadership, that you give power to the smallest voices? Because that is really the issue when it comes to past experiences, the cautionary tale of the haciendas and others where abuses were met. Tell me how you end up having a check and balance in these larger organizations.
Under the Land Bank program, Land Bank takes care of the difficult part, and that is to consolidate the small landholders. That's why 7 months na kami, we've been talking to the small farmers and until now, but we are about to sign an agreement already with the agribusiness processing company. So, for Land Bank, we will take care of that difficult part, and we will offer that to an interested agribusiness company. Are you willing to learn how to manage a plantation? Because our existing agribusiness companies now are not really into the plantation management. They are into the buying side only. What we need is really technology in managing a plantation. So anyway, so that's the problem of the agribusiness company, how to learn that. So I guess that's not too much of a problem for Henry Lim Bonchong, how to manage. Can you manage a plantation? So that's the challenge. If so, we can consolidate the farmers for you.
So there's an opportunity to learn from best practice as well among different players. So I think that's a good clarion call as well. Gentlemen, other comments in terms of making sure there's enough check and balance in the models that you've been able to propound and to make sure that there's a lot of inclusive development, especially for the smaller farmers?
I would like to add that the most important thing in the eradicate the poverty in the rural area, like the Malaysian model of FECRA or FELDA. One is the willingness of the government to participate by providing a soft loan or a grant. One. Secondly is the rural area we have to manage, not we provide the loan direct to the people. So we have to have a agency like FECRA, we manage the loan and we sign the agreement with the public, with the people, to manage their land. So most of the model that I see, that if you provide the loan to the rural people, of course they cannot manage the fund. So as an agency, we have expertise, we have professional, we have technology, we have plantation management people, we have everything. So we need to manage them. And we have to guide them until certain years, number of years, then they come out the second generation, of which now, the second generation, which is already now, I think more than half working in FECRA. So they understand the model very well. So this is the way that how the government successfully eradicate the poverty, especially in the rural area, and consolidate the unutilized land. And we do have also one land, I have to mention this, in Pulau Bangi, that we're going to develop. This land is nearby, about 30 minutes from Philippines. We need to develop that land to become one of the coconut and also pineapple industry. It's about 4,000 hectares there. My chairman from the area, so he wants that area to be developed also. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Song, Mr. Sandoval.
And because Cambodia, everything only private sectors. It's a government, they have some soft loan at the last, I think this few years, they just start have some package to support the agri-farm. So almost in Cambodia, private sector driving the change of the agriculture from mechanization, warehouse, milling, process, export, all mostly under the private sectors. And the government, they give the new policy to incentive investors on processing, milling all commodity made by the farmers. And recently we are really focused on diversifications, because right now we found that most Cambodian farmers, they become poor and they work in Thailand. I think 1.2 million workforce in Thailand. So we have big problem with the labor where we do not have enough labor on farming. So we need mechanization. We need to ensure crops are good quality. So we have been discussing the main issues to address. First is ensure farmer low cost, market accessible for farmer, and access financing to the farmer. That is really a need for Cambodia in the next 3 years. Otherwise, no one go farm. You know, before we had 80% Cambodia are farms, and now only 40%. We drop about 40% drop. Change to garment sector, work in Thailand. So we have a problem with our agriculture too. So yeah, I believe on this. Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Chong, thank you. And a lot of room for technology transfer as well. Sir, if you, final words, please, in terms of organizing and making sure that these organizations have better access to financing as well.
Yeah. Poverty is very ugly. I've seen that picture of poverty, the ugliest form of poverty. We should join hands in eradicating it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sandoval.
I invoke or I enjoin our conglomerates, our big business in agri processing to become a cooperative, meaning to share your income with the farmers and manage their farms, increase their production, and so they can share a very, very big amount and bring them up way above poverty. So as I said, I need to pilot coconut, rubber, fishers, sugar, and corn.
Thank you very much, Mr. Buenaventura. Ladies and gentlemen, you have these best practices and a clarion call to really come in and try to work through these evolving models to make sure we have inclusive development in the agricultural sector. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for our distinguished panelists, and thank you very much for your kind attention. We're going to sit for a picture-taking session.
Yes.